He had a supportive family. He managed to slip through our fingers. There was emotional and psychological abuse to myself, which I obviously suffered. My son suffered as well. He has ADHD, troubled schooling in his infants and junior school.
This guy who I used to buy weed from, basically, I couldn't pay the debt, and then I told him that, and he said, oh, yeah, it's either this or that. They said if you don't pay it back, then obviously you use violence. If not, then you're just gonna have to sell drugs for us, pretty much, innit? So, yeah.
I thought, I just don't know what's wrong. I was panicking. I phoned the police again, reported him missing. And it was for about 5 days. I never heard nothing from him for 5 days. I was searching the streets. I went round all the pubs in each town, Medway, Dartford. I drove everywhere, looking everywhere for him. Nothing, no signs, no nothing. And then all of a sudden I got a text from him. Mum, can you come and get me?
It got to the point where they tried forcing me to stay there, and they took my phone away from me, was the point where I knew that I was in trouble, then that I needed to leave.
He said, I'm scared. I had to go to Oxfordshire to pick him up. And he cried. He said, Mum, he was petrified. These blokes took him up in the car. One of them had a gun on his lap. One of them took his phone, so he couldn't contact no one. And he's only 14 at the time.
They knew where I live as well, because, yeah, he would come to my house. It's not a nice place to be.
Just I don't feel safe at all, even in my own home address. We've got extra locks on the door. So yeah, I reckon if they see me, then something probably will happen.
And though we're still together as a family and we're still fighting, there's still nights that I don't sleep. I don't feel safe at all. I hear the slightest little noise and I'm looking out my window. It's not a good life. I started to notice things were wrong because of his mood swings. And he would, like, if he'd done something and you spoke to him, it would, I don't want to talk about it. His attitude had changed. He was very angry and nasty towards me. He kept swearing at me. He was just so aggressive. He would smash my place up. I'm on edge the whole time. Mentally, it's traumatised him.
My son doesn't feel safe. I'm not sure whether he feels people are after him, but he doesn't like the community as a whole.
He comes out with me, he's in the car and he's never not looking over his shoulder. He's on edge 24/7 and I can see that fear in his face. If they was to ever find out or see him, they're gonna hurt him.
Like, obviously I've seen them in Dagenham before and they tried chasing me through Dagenham Market. Obviously once again I was with my parents, which is not nice in front of your family. So obviously that made me realise that obviously what I was doing to my parents and stuff, it wasn't good. It wasn't good. Now of today, I don't even walk the streets.
I don't really think it had too much of an effect on me. Say academically, yeah, I just couldn't really focus.
I'm worried that it's going to be one night that he goes out and he's going to get stabbed. All I can say to people's, other families and that, look out. Look out for what the way your children act. If you see big changes in their personalities, not coming home.
I'm a teacher, I'm a nurse, I know all the signs, but there were no signs.
Look very closely, that's all I have to say. You can't just, like, if he's telling you he's fine, more time he might not be fine. Just so look closely.
I'd give the advice to maybe speak to someone, look online, get help. There's always a way of getting help, always.
So I asked for help. I had people working with me, police working with me, social services working with me, yacht working with me, Refocus working with me. I had so many people. You know, if I know of people, I've give names. Because what they done to my son, I'm not going to let them do to ruin other people's lives. So I've give names. You know, just try and help them, get them away from these people. Because if you don't, they'll either end up, you know, like us as a family, you end up traumatised and looking over your shoulder all the time. Or you get help and you can save your child's life.
Maybe I'm to blame, but I do feel the school are to blame. There should have been more help within the school. There should have been more experienced counsellors, therapists, and adults that were experienced in spotting crime and vulnerable students.
No adults could influence me because there wasn't really any adults that I was around that I really look up to, and I was like, yeah, wow, like, I want to be like you.
Why don't they do stop and searches? And why haven't they got more police patrolling the streets?
I think the police need to, and charitable organisations need to work much, much harder in schools, and not just senior schools, in junior schools as well, and work harder to support those children that are vulnerable. The school is one of these modern schools where they've got open zones and they teach in the open zone areas. So there's not a classroom, so there's a lot of noise, and it affected him because he couldn't concentrate and focus. His ADHD was a big issue.
Don't shout too much, because you can shout and try and show your dominance, but for someone like me, I would just eat you up and spit you back out. Of course, being a teacher is a very hard thing. You need to have a lot of patience. Just like, if you're gonna do that role, be that job, at least have that patience.
I guess just like educating people, just trying to get the word out there that like what this is doing is hurting people.
Like, you can't talk on my generation. You can't say, oh yeah, that I was going through, cool, you might have been going through what you was going through, but you don't have social media, you don't have people trying to instigate certain situations.
Having my son arrested for such a serious crime was devastating.
I thought my whole life was over, to be honest with you.
They've ruined our life. Why let other families go through what I've gone through?